The guards came through. Men of the 21st. Up by the chalk pit wood. Weak from our wounds and our thirst. Wanting our sleep and our food. After a day and a night. God, shall I ever forget? Beaten and broken the fight. But sticking it yet. Trying to hold the line. Fainting and spent and done. Always the thud and the whine. Always the yell of the Hun. Northumberland, Lancaster, York. Durham and Somerset. Fighting alone, worn to the bone. But sticking it yet. Never a message of hope. Never a word of cheer. Fronting H's shell-swept slope. With the dull, dead plain in our rear. Always the shriek of the shell. Always the roar of the burst. Always the tortures of hell. As waiting and wincing we curse it. Our luck, the guns in the Boche. When our corporal shouted, "Stand to." And I hear someone cry, "Clear the front for the guards." And the guards came through. Our throats they were parched and hot. But Lord, if you'd heard the cheer. Irish, Welsh and Scot. Coldstream and Grenadier. 2 brigades, if you please. Dressing as straight as a hem. We were down on our knees. Praying for us and for them. Praying with tear-wet cheek. Praying with outstretched hand. Lord, I could speak for a week. But how could you understand? How could your cheeks be wet? Such feelin's don't come to you. But how can me or my mates forget? How the guards came through. 5 yards left extend. It passed from rank to rank. And line after line, with never a bend. And a touch of the London swank. A trifle of swank and dash. Cool as a home parade. Twinkle, glitter and flash. Flinching never a shade. With the shrapnel right in their face. Doing their Hyde Park stunt. Swinging along at an easy pace. Arms at the trail, eyes front. Man, it was great to see. Man, it was great to do. It's a cot and a hospital ward for me. But I'll tell them in Blighty, wherever I be. How the guards came through. Victrix! How was it then with England? Her faith was true to her plighted word. Her strong hand closed on her blunted sword. Her heart rose high to the foeman's hate. She walked with God on the hills of fate. And all was well with England. How was it then with England? Her soul was wrung with loss and pain. Her face was grey with her heart's blood drain. But her falcon eyes were hard and bright. Austere and cold as an ice cave's light. And all was well with England. How was it then with England? Little she said to foe or friend. True heart true to the uttermost end. Her passion cry was the scathe she wrought. In flame and steel she voiced her thought. And all was well with England. How was it then with England? With drooping sword and bended head. She turned apart and mourned her dead. Sad sky above, sad earth beneath. She walked with God in the vale of death. Ah, woe the day for England. How is it now with England? She sees upon her mist-girt path dim drifting shapes of fear and wrath. Hold high the heart, bend low the knee. She has been guided, and will be. And all is well with England. Those others. Where are those others, the men who stood in the first wild spate of the German flood, and paid full price with their heart's best blood for the saving of you and me? French's contemptibles, haggard and lean. Allenby's lads of the cavalry screen. Gunners who fell in Battery 50. And guardsmen of Landrecies. Where are those others who fought and fell? Outmanned, outgunned and scant of shell. On the deadly curve of the Ypres hell. Barring the coast to the last. Where are laddies who died out there? From Polkapel to Festubert. When the days grew short and the poplars bare. In the cold November blast. For us their toil and for us their pain. the sordid ditch in the sodden plain, the Flemish fog and the driving rain, the cold that cramped and froze, the weary night, the chill bleak day, when earth was dark and sky was gray, and the ragged weeds in the dripping clay were all God's world to those. Where are those others in this glad time, when the standards wave and the joy bells chime, and London stands with outstretched hands, waving her children in? Athwart our joy still comes the thought of the dear dead boys whose lives have bought all that sweet victory has brought to us who live to win. To each his dreams, and mine to me. But as the shadows fall I see that ever-glorious company, the men who bide out there, rifleman, Highlander, Fusilier, airman and sapper and grenadier, with flaunting banner and wave and cheer. They flow through the darkening air. And yours are there, and so are mine. Rank upon rank and line on line, with smiling lips and eyes that shine, and bearing proud and high. Past they go with their measured tread. These are the victors, these the dead. Ah, sink the knee and bare the head, as the hallowed host goes by. Hague is moving. August 1918. Hague is moving. 3 plain words are all that matter. Mid the gossip and the chatter, hopes in speeches, fears in papers, pessimistic froth and vapors. Hague is moving. Hague is moving. We can turn from German scheming, from humanitarian dreaming, from assertions, contradictions, twisted facts and solemn fictions. Hague is moving. Hague is moving. All the weary idle phrases, empty blamings, empty praises. Here's an end to their recital. There's only one thing vital. Hague is moving. Hague is moving. He is moving, he is gaining. And the whole hushed world is straining. Straining, yearning for the vision of the doom and the decision. Hague is moving. The guns in Sussex, light green of grass and richer green of bush, slope upwards to the darkest green of fir. How still, how deathly still, and yet the hush shivers and trembles with some subtle stir. Some far off, throbbing like a muffled drum, beaten in broken rhythm over sea, to play the last funereal march of some who die today that Europe may be free. The deep blue heaven, curving from the green, spans with its shimmering arch the flowery zone. In all God's earth there is no gentler scene. And yet I hear that awesome monotone above the circling midges piping shrill, and the long droning of the questing bee. Above all sultry summer sounds it still mutters its ceaseless menaces to me. And as I listen, all the garden fair darkens to plains of misery and death. And looking past the roses I see there those sordid furrows with the rising breath of all things foul and black. My heart is hot within me as I view it, and I cry, better the misery of these men's lot than all the peace that comes to such as I. And strange that in the pauses of the sound I hear the children's laughter as they roam, and then their mother calls, and all around rise up the gentle murmurs of a home. But still I gaze afar, and at the sight my whole soul softens to its heartfelt prayer. Spirit of justice, thou for whom they fight, ah, turn in mercy to our lads out there. The froward peoples have deserved thy wrath, and on them is the judgment as of old. But if they wandered from the hallowed paths, yet is their retribution manifold. Behold all Europe writhing on the rack, the sins of fathers grinding down the sons. How long, O Lord? He sends no answer back. But still I hear the mutter of the guns. Ypres. September 1915. Push on, my lord of Württemberg, across the Flemish fen. See where the lure of Ypres calls you. There's just one ragged British line of Plumer's weary men. It's true they held you off before, but venture it again. Come, try your luck, whatever fate befalls you. You've been some little time, my lord, perhaps you scarce remember the far-off early days of that resistance. Was it in October last, or was it in November? And now the leaves are turning, and you stand in mid-September, still staring at the belfry in the distance. Can you recall the fateful day, a day of drifting skies, when you started on the famous Calais onset? Can it be the warlord blundered when he urged the enterprise? For surely it's a weary while since first before your eyes that old belfry rose against the sunset. You held council at your quarters when the budding Alexanders and the pickle-hobbed Caesars gave their reasons. Was there one amongst that bristle-headed circle of commanders ever ventured the opinion that a little town of Flanders would hold you pounded here through all the seasons? You all clasped hands upon it. You would break the British line. You would smash a road to westward with your host. The howitzers should thunder, and the Ulan lances shine, till Calais heard the blaring of the distant, Wachtum Rhine. As you topped the grassy uplands of the coast, said the Graf von Feueressen, it's a fact beyond discussion that man-to-man we can outfight the foe. There is valor in the French, there is patience in the Russian. But blend all warlike virtues, and you get the lordly Prussian. And the bristle-headed murmured, "Does is so?" And the British, cried another, "They are mercenary cattle, without one noble impulse of the soul. Degenerate and drunken, if the dollars chink and rattle. 'Tis the only sort of music that will call them to the battle." And all the bristle-headed cried, "Jawohl." And so next day, your battle rolled across the Menin plain, where Capper's men stood lonely to your wrath. You broke him and you broke him, but you broke him all in vain. For he and his contemptibles kept closing up again. And the khaki bar was still across your path. And on the day when Gelluvelt lay smoking in the sun, when von Daimling stormed so hotly in the van, you smiled as Haig reeled backwards, and you thought him on the run. But alas for dreams that vanish, for before the day was done, it was you, my lord of Württemberg, that ran. A dreary day was that, but another came, more dreary, when the guard from Arras led your fierce attacks. Spruce and splendid in the morning were the Potsdam Grenadier, but not so spruce that evening when they staggered spent and weary, with those cursed British storming at their backs. You knew your spies had told you that the ranks were scant and thin, that the guns were short of shell and very few. By all Bernhardi's maxims you were surely bound to win. There's the open town before you. Haste, my lord, and enter in, or the warlord may have telegrams for you. Then came the rainy winter, when the price was ever dearer. Every time you neared the prize of which you dreamed. Each day the belfry faced you, but you never brought it nearer. Each night you saw it clearly, but you never saw it clearer. Ah, what a weary time it must have seemed. At last there came the Easter when you loosed the coward gases. Surely you have got the rascals now. You could see them spent and choking, as you watched them throw your glasses. Yes, they choke but never waver, and again the moment passes, without one leaf of laurel for your brow. Then at Hooge you had them helpless, for their guns were 1 to 10. And you blasted trench and traverse at your will. You had them dead and buried, but they still sprang up again. Donnerwetter, cried your lordship, Donnerwetter, cried your men. For their very ghosts were guarding Ypres still. Active guards reserve, men of every corps and name, that the bugles of the warlord muster in. Each in turn you tried them, but the story was the same. Play it how you would, my lord, you never won the game. No, never in a 12-month did you win. A year, my lord of Württemberg, a year or nearly so, since first you faced the British vis-a-vis. Your learned commandant are the men who ought to know. But to ordinary mortals, it would seem a trifle slow. If you really mean to travel to the sea. If you cannot strafe the British, since they strafen you so well, you can safely smash the town that lies so near. So it's down with arch and buttress, down with belfry and with bell. And it's hawk the 7-7 that can drop the petrol shell on the shrines that pious hands have loved to rear. Fair Ypres was a relic of the soul of other days. A poet's dream, a wanderer's delight. We will keep it as a symbol of your brute Teutonic ways, that millions yet unborn may come and curse you as they gaze at this token of your impotence and spite. For shame, my lord of Württemberg, across the Flemish fen. See where the little army calls you. It's just the old familiar line of 50,000 men. They've beat you once or twice, my lord, but venture it again. Come, try your luck, whatever fate befalls you. Grousing. The army swore terribly in Flanders. Uncle Toby. What do the soldiers say? Damn, damn, damn. I don't mind cold, I don't mind heat. Over the top for a Sunday treat. With Fritz I'll always take my spell. But I want my grub, and where in hell is the jam? What does the officer say? Damn, damn, damn. Mud and misery, flies and stench. Piggin it here in a beastly trench. But what I mean, by Jove, you see, I like my men, and they don't mind me. So on the whole, I'd rather be where I am. What does the enemy say? Colossal verdem. They told me, when the war began, the British Tommy always ran. And so he does, just as they said. But Donnerwetter, it's straight ahead. Like a ram. What does the public say? Damn, damn, damn. They tax me here, they tax me there. Bread is dear and the cupboard bare. I'm bound to grouse, but if it's the way to win the war, why then I'll pay. Like a lamb. The Volunteer. 1914, 1919. The dreams are past and gone, old man. That came to you and me. Of a 6 days stunt on an East Coast front. And the Hun with his back to the sea. Lord, how we worked and swatted so to be fit when the day should come. 4 years, my lad, and 5 months more since first we followed the drum. Though follow the drum is a bit too grand, for we ran to no such frills. It was just the whistles of nature's band that heartened us up the hills, that and the toot of the corporal's flute, until he could blow no more, and the lilt of Sussex by the sea, the marching song of the corps. Those hills, my word, you would soon get fit, be you ever so stale and slack, if you pad it with rifle and marching kit. To Rotherfield Hill and back. Drills in hall and drills outdoors, and drills of every type, till we wore our boots with forming fours, and our coats with shoulder hype. No glory hours, no swank, no pay. One dull eventless grind. Find yourself and nothing a day were the terms that the old boys signed. Just drill and march and drill again, and swat at the old parade. But they got 200,000 men. Not bad for the old brigade. A good 200,000 came on the chance of that East Coast fight. They may have been old and stiff and lame, but by George, their hearts were right. Discipline, my eyes right, they cried, as we passed the drill hall door, and left it at that, so we marched cockeyed from 3 to 4:30. And solid, why after a real wet bout in a hole in the Flanders mud. It would puzzle the Boche to fetch us out, for we couldn't get out if we would. Some think we could have stood war's test. Some say that we could not. But a chap can only do his best and offer all he's got. Fall out the guard, the old home guard. Pile arms, right turn, dismiss. No grousing, even if it's hard to break our ranks like this. We can't show much in the way of fun for 4.5 years gone. If we'd had our chance, just one. Carry on, old sport, carry on. The Night Patrol. September 1918. Behind me on the darkened pier, they crowd and chatter, man and maid. A coon song gently strikes the ear. A flapper giggles in the shade. There where the interned lantern gleams. It shines on khaki and on brass. Across its yellow slanting beams, the arm-locked lovers slowly pass. Out in the darkness, one far light throbs like a pulse and fades away. Some signal on the guarded white. From Helen's Point to Bembridge Bay, an eastern wind blows chill and raw. Cheerless and black the waters lie. And as I gaze athwart the haze, I see the night patrol go by. Creeping shadows blur the gloom. Thicken and darken, pass and fade. Again and yet again they loom. One ruby spark above each shade. 12 ships in all, they glide so near. One hears the wave, the forefoot curled. And yet to those upon the they seem some other sterner world. The coon song whimpers to a wail. The treble laughter sinks and dies. The lovers cluster on the rail, with whispered words and straining eyes. One hush of awe, and then once more. The vision fades for them and me. And there is laughter on the shore, and silent duty on the sea. The wreck on Loch McGarry. If you should search all Scotland round, the mainland, Skerries and the islands, a grimmer spot could not be found than Loch McGarry in the Highlands, pent in by frowning mountains high. It stretches silent as the tomb. Turbid and thick its waters lie. No eye can pierce their yellow gloom. 'Twas here that on a summer day, 4 tourists hired a crazy wherry. No warning voices bade them stay. As they pushed out on Loch McGarry, MacFarlane, chairman of the board, a grim hard-fisted son of lucre, his thoughts were ever on his hoard, and life a money game like euchre. Bob Ainslie, late of London town, a spruce young butterfly of fashion, a wrinkle in his dressing gown would rouse an apoplectic passion. John Waters, John the self-absorbed, with thoughts forever inward bent, complacent, self-contained, self-orbed, wrapped in eternal self-content. Lastly coquettish Mrs. Wild, chattering, rowdy, empty-headed. At sight of her the whole world smiled, except the wretch whom she had wedded. Such were the 4 who sailed that day to the Highlands, each a stranger. Sunlit and calm the wide loch lay, with not a hint of coming danger. Drifting they watched the heather hue, the waters and the cliffs that bound them. The air was still, the sky was blue. Deceitful peace lay all around them. MacFarlane pondered on the stocks, John Waters on his own perfection. Bob Ainslie's thoughts were on his socks, and Mrs. Wild's on her complexion. When sudden, oh, that dreadful scream, that cry from panic fear begotten. The boat is gaping in each seam. The worn-out planks are old and rot. With 2 small oars they work and strain. A long mile from the nearest shore, they cease, their efforts are in vain. She's sinking fast, and all is o'er. The yellow water, thick as pap, is crawling, crawling to the thwarts. And as they mark its upward lap, so fear goes crawling up their hearts. Slowly, slowly, thick as pap, the creeping yellow waters rise. Like drowning mice within a trap, they stare around with frantic eyes. Ah, how clearly they could see every sin and shame and error. How they vowed that saints they'd be, if delivered from this terror. How they squirmed and how they squealed. How they shouted for assistance. How they fruitlessly appealed to the shepherds in the distance. How they sobbed and how they moaned as the waters kept encroaching. How they wept and stormed and groaned as they saw their fate approaching. And they vowed each good resolve should be permanent as granite, never, never to dissolve, firm and lasting like our planet. See them sit, aghast and shrinking. Surely it could not be true. Oh, have mercy, oh, we're sinking. Oh, good Lord, what shall we do? Ah, it's coming, now she founders. See the crazy wary reel. Downward to the rocks she flounders. Just 1 foot beneath her keel. In the shallow, turbid water lay the saving reef below. Oh, the waste of high emotion. Oh, the useless fear and woe. Late that day, 4 sopping tourists to their quarters made their way. And the brushes of futurists scarce could paint their disarray. And with half-amused compassion, they were viewed from the hotel, from the pulp-clad bow of fashion to the saturated belle. But a change was in their features, and that change has come to tarry, for they all are altered creatures. Since the wreck of Loch McGarry, now McFarlane never utters any talk of bills or bullion, but continually mutters texts from Cyril or Tertullian. As to Ainsley, he's not caring how the new-cut collar lies, and has been detected wearing dinner jackets with white ties. Waters, who had never thought in his life of others' needs, has most generously bought a nursing home for invalids. And the lady, ah the lady, she has turned from paths of sin, and her husband's face so shady now is brightened by a grin. So misfortunes of today are the blessings of tomorrow, and the wisest cannot say what is joy and what is sorrow. If your soul is arable, you can start this seed within it, and my tiny parable may just help you to begin it. The bigot, the foolish Roman fondly thought that gods must be the same to all. Each alien idol might be brought within their broad Pantheon hall. The vision of a jealous Jove was far above their feeble ken. They had no lord who gave them love, but scowled upon all other men. But in our dispensation bright, what noble progress have we made? We know that we are in the light, and outer races in the shade. Our kindly creed ensures us this, that Turk and infidel and Jew are safely banished from the bliss that's guaranteed to me and you. The Roman mother understood that if the babe upon her breast untimely died, the gods were good, and the child's welfare manifest. With tender guides the soul would go, and there, in some Elysian bower, the tiny bud plucked here below would ripen to the perfect flower. Poor simpleton, our faith makes plain that if no blessed baptismal word has cleared the babe, it bears the stain which faithless Adam had incurred. How philosophical in aim, how wise and well-conceived a plan, which holds the newborn babe to blame for all the sins of early man. Nay, speak not of its tender grace, but hearken to our dogma wise. Guilt lies behind that dimpled face, and sin looks out from gentle eyes. Quick, quick, the water and the bowl, quick with the words that lift the load. Oh, hasten, ere that tiny soul shall pay the debt old Adam owed. The Roman thought the souls that erred would linger in some nether gloom, but somewhere, sometime would be spared to find some peace beyond the tomb. In those dark halls, enshadowed vast, they flitted ever, sad and thin, mourning the unforgotten past, until they shed the taint of sin. And Pluto brooded over all, within that land of night and fear, enthroned in some dark judgment hall, a god himself, reserved, austere. How thin and colorless and tame, compare our nobler scheme with it. The howling souls, the leaping flame, and all the tortures of the pit. Foolish, half-hearted Roman hell. To us is left the higher thought of that eternal torture cell, whereto the sinner shall be brought out with the thought that God could share our weak relenting pity sense, or ever condescend to spare the wretch who gave him just offense. 'Tis just 10,000 years ago since the vile sinner left his clay, And yet no pity can he know. For as he lies in hell today, so when 10,000 years have run, still shall he lie in endless night. O God of love, O Holy One, have we not read thy ways aright? The godly man in heaven shall dwell, and live in joy before the throne, though somewhere down in nether hell, his wife or children writhe and groan. From his bright empyrean height, he sees the reek from that abyss. What pagan ever dreamed a sight so holy and sublime as this? Poor foolish folk, had they begun to weigh the myths that they professed, 1 hour of reason and each one would surely stand a fraud confessed, pretending to believe each deed of Theseus or of Hercules, with fairy tales of Ganymede, and gods of rocks and gods of trees. No, no, had they our purer light, they would have learned some saner tale of Balaam's ass or Samson's might, or prophet Jonah and his whale, of talking serpents and their ways, through which our foolish parents strayed, and how there passed 3 nights and days before the sun or moon was made. O bigotry, you crowning sin! All evil that a man can do has earthly bounds, nor can begin to match the mischief done by you. You who would force the source of love to play your small sectarian part, and mold the mercy from above to fit your own contracted heart. The Athabasca Trail. My life is gliding downwards, it speeds swifter to the day, when it shoots the last dark cannon to the plains of far away. But while its stream is running through the years that are to be, the mighty voice of Canada will ever call to me. I shall hear the roar of rivers, where the rapids foam and tear. I shall smell the virgin upland, with its balsam-laden air, and shall dream that I am riding down the winding woody vale, with the packer and the packhorse on the Athabasca Trail. I have passed the warden cities at the eastern Watergate, where the hero and the martyr laid the corner-stone of state. The habitant, coureur d'espoirs and hardy voyageur, where lives a breed more strong at need to venture or endure. I have seen the gorge of Erie, where the roaring waters run. I have crossed the inland ocean, lying golden in the sun. But the last and best and sweetest is the ride by hill and dale, with the packer and the packhorse on the Athabasca Trail. I'll dream again of fields of grain that stretch from sky to sky, and the little prairie hamlets where the cars go roaring by. Wooden hamlets as I saw them, noble cities still to be, to girdle stately Canada with gems from sea to sea. Mother of a mighty manhood, land of glamour and of hope. From the eastward sea-swept islands to the sunny western slope. Evermore my heart is with you, evermore till life shall fail. I'll be out with pack and packer on the Athabasca Trail. Ragtime. During the catastrophe, the band of the Titanic played Negro melodies and ragtime until the last moment, when they broke into a hymn. Daily paper. Ragtime, ragtime, keep it going still. Let them hear the ragtime, play it with a will. Women in the lifeboats, men upon the wreck. Take heart to hear the ragtime lilting down the deck. Ragtime, ragtime, yet another tune. Now the darky dandy, now the yellow coon. Brace against the bulwarks if the stand's askew. Find your footing as you can, but keep the music true. There's glowing hell beneath us, where the shattered boilers roar. The ship is listing and awash, the boats will hold no more. There's nothing more that you can do, and nothing you can mend. Only keep the ragtime playing to the end. Don't forget the time, boys, eyes upon the score. Never heed the wavelets sobbing down the floor. Play it as you played it one with eager feet. 100 pair of dancers were stamping to the beat. Stamping to the ragtime down the lamplit deck. With shine of glossy linen, and with gleam of snowy neck. They've other thoughts to think tonight, and other things to do. But the tinkle of the ragtime may help to see them through. Shut off the ragtime, the lights are falling low. The deck is buckling under us, she's sinking by the bow. One hymn of hope from dying hands, on dying ears to fall. Gently the music fades away, and so God rest us all. Christmas in wartime. Cheer, O comrades, we can bide the blast, and face the gloom until it shall grow lighter. What though one Christmas should be overcast, if duty done makes all the others brighter? The last lap. We seldom were quick off the mark, and sprinting was never our game. But when it's insistence and hold for the distance, we've never been beat at that same. The first lap was all to the Hun. At the second we still saw his back, but we knew how to wait and to spurt down the straight, till we left him dead beat on the track. He's a bluffer for all he is worth, but he's winded and done to the core. So the last lap is here, with the tape very near, and the old colors well to the fore. Not merry, no, the words would grate, with gaps at every table side, but chastened, thankful, calm, sedate. Be your victorious Christmastide. Lindisfaire. Horses go down the dingy lane, but never a horse comes up again. The greasy yard where the red hides lie marks the place where the horses die. Wheat was sinking year by year. I bought things cheap, I sold them dear. Rent was heavy and taxes high, and a weary-hearted man was I. In Lindisfaire I walked my grounds. I hadn't the heart to ride to hounds, and as I walked in black despair, I saw my old bay hunter there. He tried to nuzzle against my cheek. He looked the grief he could not speak, but no caress came back again. For harder times make harder men. My thoughts were set on stable rent, on money saved and money spent, on weekly bills for forage lost, and all the old bay hunter cost. For though a flyer in the past, his days of service long were past. His gait was stiff, his eyes were dim, and I could find no use for him. I turned away with heart of gloom, and sent for Will, my father's groom. The old groom whose worn-out face was like the fortune of our race. I gave my order sharp and hard. Go, ride him to the knacker's yard. He'll fetch £2, it may be 3. Sell him and bring the price to me. I saw the old groom wince away. He looked the thoughts he dared not say. Then from his fob he slowly drew a leather pouch of faded hue. Master, said he, my means are small. This purse of leather holds them all. But I have neither kith nor kin. I'll pay your price for prince's skin. My brother rents the nether farm, and you will hold him safe from harm, in the great field where he may graze, and see the finish of his days. With dimming eyes I saw him stand. £2 were in his shaking hand. I gave a curse to drown the sob, and thrust the purse within his fob. May God do this and more to me, if we should ever part, we three, master and horse and faithful friend, we'll share together to the end. You'll think I'm playing it on you. I give my word the thing is true. I hadn't hardly made the vow before I heard a view-halloo, and looking round, whom should I see but Bookie Johnson hailing me. Johnson, the man who bilked the folks when Ethelrida won the Oaks. He drew a wad from out his vest. Here are 1,000 of the best. Luck's turned a bit with me of late, and as you see, I'm getting straight. That's all, my luck was turning too. If you have nothing else to do, run down some day to Lindisfaire. You'll find the old bay hunter there. A parables. Highbrow house was furnished well, with many a goblet fair. So when they brought the Holy Grail, there was never a space to spare. Simple cottage was clear and clean, with room to store it will. So there they laid the Holy Grail, and there you'll find it still. Vait. I know not how I know, and yet I know. I do not plan to go, and yet I go. There is some dim force propelling, gently guiding and compelling, and a faint voice ever telling, this is so. The path is rough and black, dark as night, and there lies a fairer track in the light. Yet I may not shirk or shrink, for I feel the hands that link as they guide me on the brink of the height. Bigots blame me in their wrath. Let them blame. Praise or blame, the fated path is the same. If I droop upon my mission, there is still that saving vision, iridescent and Elysian, tipped in flame. It was granted me to stand by my dead. I have felt the vanished hand on my head, on my brow the vanished lips, and I know that death's eclipse is a floating veil that slips or is shed. When I heard thy well-known voice, Son of mine, should I silently rejoice, or inclined to strike harder as a fighter, that the heavy might be lighter, and the gloomy might be brighter? At the sign, great guide, I ask you still, wherefore I? But if it be thy will, that I try, trace my pathway among men, show me how to strike and when, take me to the fight, and then, oh, be nigh. Printed by Hazel, Watson and Viney, L.D., London and Aylesbury, England. By Arthur Conan Doyle. Songs of Action. Seventh Impression. Punch. Dr. Conan Doyle has well named his verse Songs of Action. It pulsates with life and movement, whether the scenes be laid on sea or land, on ship or horseback. The Daily Telegraph. There is spirit and animation, the rush and glow of young blood about his poems, always a pulsating sense of life. The Yorkshire Post. Dr. Conan Doyle writes a good song and a good ballad. He has the requisite amount of pathos, and his humor is spontaneous. Songs of the Road. The Morning Post. A troupe of rollicking tales, of fervid exhortations and straightforward arguments, sound sentiments, hearty humor. The creator of Sherlock Holmes is able to construct vivid and pungent verse. The Spectator. He can tell a good story as well in verse as in prose, and the fetters of rhyme in no way weaken the merits of the swift tale, humor as well as spirit. The Observer. The strong vitality of the author pervades his poetry. It is a tonic to meet his frank optimism. John Murray, Albemarle Street, London, W1.